Good afternoon. At this time, I would like to open the regular board meeting for the Isle of Wight County School Board. Today is Thursday, November the 10th. The year is 2022. We are located 800 West Main Street, which is Westside High School. At this time, we will have a roll call.
Mrs. Dial, Mr. Vines,
Present.
Mrs. Tynes,
Present.
Mr. Cunningham,
Present.
and Mr. Colick.
Thank you. We have a quarter, so we can continue on. Next on the agenda, we have the approval of the agenda or amendments. Any amendments to the agenda? If not,
Madam.
I'll take a motion for approval.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add the capital maintenance funds appropriation and the workforce grant appropriation.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to amend the agenda to include the capital maintenance fund appropriations as well as the workforce grant appropriations. At this time, what is your pleasure? Please vote.
There we go.
Is it up? It's not up here. It didn't come up for him. Did yours come up?
Mm-mm.
His did not.
Maybe not.
We'll just take a verbal. Mr. Vines,
Yay.
Mrs. Tynes,
Yay.
and Mr. Cunningham.
Yay.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Next, we will have a motion to go into closed session.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session to review the personnel report posted on board docs under personnel tab number 17.1 as authorized by Virginia Code 2.2-3711A1 for purposes of discussion and consideration of prospective candidates of Isle of Wight Public Schools for employment, contract changes, transfers, supplemental contracts, and resignations of Isle of Wight County Public School employees, and to discuss the performance evaluation of the superintendent as permitted by Virginia Code 2.1-3711A1, and third, to discuss one request for early admission that would involve the disclosure of information contained in a scholastic record concerning students as authorized by Virginia Code 2.1-3711A2.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to enter into closed session. At this time, we will take a vote.
Yay.
Oh, are you
I'm in, but it's not.
Wait a minute, let me see if it's come, because none of them have come up yet.
Do a verbal.
Mr. Vines,
Yay.
Mrs. Tynes,
Yay?
and Mr. Cunningham.
Yay.
Okay, thank you very much. The vote is 3-0. At this time, we will enter into closed session. Do we have, Madam Clerk, do we have any guests to meet with us in closed session? Is there anyone here that would like to meet with the board in closed session? Okay, we're into closed session. Get this. Good evening. At this time, we would like to reconvene into open session. We will have a certification of resolution of compliance.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion. The closed meeting was conducted in conformity with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as required by Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia, and certify that the only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements were discussed, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. At this time, we will take a vote. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Okay, I would like to welcome all of our guests tonight, as well as the staff. Wight County Schools, we are always preparing students for college, career, and life. And at this time, we have some special guests in our audience, and I would like to recognize them. We have Board Chair, Mr. Jefferson, Mr. Rudolph Jefferson. I saw Board of Supervisors, Mr. Grice, come in. Mr. Grice in the back. We always like to recognize our government, local and other government people. Are there any others here in the audience that would like to be recognized tonight? Who? I can't hear you.
Ask him to stand up.
Ask him to stand, because I don't know who you're talking.
I'm Planning Commissioner Thomas Stefano.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stefano. Okay, thank you for joining us tonight. And again,
You want to say anything?
and
It's one here at least.
Wait a minute.
Oh, two.
also tonight, I was going to get to that.
Okay.
Also tonight, we have some special guests in our audience. As you all know, we had elections this week in the state of Virginia as well as across the nation. And we have two, I know I saw Mr. Wooster here. And Mr. Marsh, you're here as well. We'll stand, you two of you can stand, Mr. Wooster and Mr. Marsh. And I know some people have questioned why they're not up here with us tonight. We follow our policies and we follow the rules of the state of Virginia, the laws. The election has to be certified. Wight County election must be certified by the state of Virginia, not by Wight County School Board. And the earliest that's going to be, they're going to get the certifications will be around November the 15th. And once they get the certifications, the two new elected board members will go to the clerk of courts, be sworn in, and at that point, they will become immediate board members of Wight County Schools, okay? That's how the process works. I appreciate that. And if you come back next month for our regular meeting, they will be sitting up here with us, okay? And if we have any special meetings in between, they will be here as well. Thank you. Okay. At this time, we're going to move on, and we're going to ask Mr. Cunningham if he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have Mrs. Briggs to come forward with Wight Achievers. Ms. Getz, you gonna assist? Okay.
Outstanding.
Yes.
Oh, I did want to make this announcement. Dr. Coleman is not with us this evening because he's playing a parent role with his daughter tonight being accepted into an honor society at her high school. And I just want you all to know that. Thank you. Because he did tell me today he was leaving early to get there. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Kramer. Before we start the Isle of Wight Achievers, I'd just like to mention that the vision for Isle of Wight County Schools is to create a learning environment that will enable every child to discover his or her unique gifts and talents. The Isle of Wight Achievers section of our board meeting gives us an opportunity to recognize and celebrate our students and staff for their unique talents and gifts. And we're actually going to start first with you.
With me?
Well, not yet. Okay. Sorry. But you'll be right back. So the Virginia School Boards Association recognizes board members with an award for their commitment to effective school board governance through their participation in the VSBA School Board Academy during the 2020-2021 school year. School board members earn Academy credits through participation in VSBA meetings and other Academy sessions and through VSBA governance and service activities. Receiving awards of achievement and a bronze VSBA pin, are Denise Tynes, Michael Cunningham, John Collick, Michael Vines, and Renee Dial. And those certificates and pins are at your seat.
Thank you.
So congratulations.
Here they are.
Thank you.
Show them. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, moving on. Sorry, Ms. Getz. From Smithfield High School, Smithfield High seniors Aiden Shannon and Cameron Barrett have been named commended students in the 2023 National Merit Scholarship Program. A letter of commendation from the school and the National Merit Scholarship Corporation, which conducts the program, was presented by the principal, Patricia Cuffey, to these scholastically talented seniors. About 34,000 commended students throughout the nation are being recognized for their exceptional academic promise. Commended students placed among the top 50,000 students who entered the 2023 competition by taking the 2021 preliminary SAT National Merit Scholarship qualifying test. And we have Aiden and Cameron with us today, and if you would both please come forward. Ms. Getz has, there, yeah, that's, okay. A certificate and a pin.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
Okay. And if you would just face the board a moment so they can acknowledge you. We want to congratulate you. Very good. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And
Well
at this
done.
time, gentlemen, if you would go to the backdrop over there, Mr. Elliott is going to get a photo. And if there are any family members who want to take a picture as well, and you may even get corralled into the photo yourself. Okay. And while they're doing the picture, we'll go ahead and move on to our next honoree. Dr. Kristen Wilkins, who's a coordinator of special education for us, was recognized by Inside Business as a top 40 under 40. The program recognizes outstanding young professionals from across Hampton Roads. Dr. Wilkins, if you'll come forward, Ms. Getz has a certificate and pin. I'll also read that nominees were evaluated for their vision and leadership, innovation and achievements, and strategies for success, with an emphasis placed on their community service, including the impact of their volunteer work, their commitment and interest and involvement in various areas. Dr. Wilkins joined other honorees at an awards ceremony in Virginia Beach on October 17th, and we congratulate her for her recognition by the Hampton Roads area. Congratulations. Now we move on to our seniors of the month. Our first senior of the month is from Windsor High School, and she is Elizabeth Callis. Elizabeth takes every assignment, every lesson seriously. She wants to do her absolute best on every task she is given, no matter how small. She seeks help when she needs it. She advocates for herself. She is extremely conscientious. In addition, she is a kind and caring person. Knowing she would be out for a college tour, she met with her teachers to get her assignments ahead of time so she could do them before she left. Elizabeth has advocated for herself with her testing anxiety, and that is so brave of her. She is also curious, which isn't seen much in students these days. Quote, "If I had a class full of students like Elizabeth, I would never retire." And that's from Ms. Cassandra Presson, English teacher at Windsor High. Elizabeth plans on attending NC State or JMU to pursue a degree in biology with the hopes of becoming a criminal DNA analyst. And we congratulate you, Elizabeth. And if you'll go over to the backdrop there, Mr. Elliott's going to get your photo, and if there are any family members that want to come up to get a picture as well. Okay. Our Smithfield High School Senior of the Month unfortunately could not be here tonight because of work obligations. We've invited him to come to the December meeting so we can recognize him in person. But I do want to announce a little bit about him. The Senior of the Month from Smithfield High is Garrett Holly. Garrett serves as the battalion commander of the Smithfield JROTC Packer Battalion. He was recently recognized with the Legion of Valor Award for 2022. The award was presented to Holly by Lieutenant Colonel retired Rich Ronaldo, a Distinguished Service Cross recipient. Only one cadet in approximately 4,000 cadets participating in JROTC is honored with this prestigious award. Garrett's a member of the school's National Honor Society and the Rifle Team, and he's received numerous awards, including the Special Forces Award of Excellence and the Superior Cadet Award. He also served on the JROTC leadership team, academic, and drill teams. He is active in both his community and his church. JROTC instructor Lieutenant Colonel Bedoin stated, "In my experience, Garrett is in the top 1% of the cadets I've ever observed or instructed." After graduation, Garrett plans to attend Brigham Young University on an ROTC scholarship and serve in the U.S. Army as an officer after earning his degree. And we congratulate Garrett. Okay. That concludes our achievers, although we have a special presentation. As Ms. Tynes mentioned, we have new board members coming in, and we have some board members that will be leaving us. And tonight we'd like to publicly thank Mr. Vines for his time on the board. And I believe, Dr. Kramer, you have something to present to Mr. Vines?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. So we have the Isle of Wight County Schools recognizes Board Member Michael Vines for being a dedicated public servant and for doing what's best for all children, District 4, and it has the name of the other four board members, Denise Tynes, Chair, Mr. John Collick, Mr. Michael Cunningham, Vice Chair, and Mrs. Renee Dial. Presented November 10th, 2022.
Congratulations. Thank you. And that is going to conclude our recognitions for tonight. We thank everyone that came out and their family and friends who came out to support them as well.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mrs. Briggs. Next, we're going to have Isle of Wight Achievers, and we're going to have,
Special presentation, right?
oh, what's wrong?
Are we on
I'm sorry, special
presentation? Yeah.
special presentation, I'm sorry.
No, okay.
I'm thinking about the
The eye on
Mrs.
instruction.
Briggs.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
We're good.
This is something new tonight, but it's very special.
Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Briggs.
All right. We have a special salute to veterans we'd like to share this evening. We have many members, staff members, who joined Isle of Wight County Schools after serving in the military, And we put together a special presentation we're going to share tonight. It will also be shared on our social media pages tomorrow and our website. So let's see.
Oh, beautiful, our heroes proved in liberating strife. Who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, make God thy gold refine, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. And you know, when I was in school, we used to sing it something like this. Listen here. Oh, beautiful, far spacious skies, far amber waves of grain, far purple mountain majesties. The fruited plain. But now wait a minute. I'm talking about America, sweet America. You know, God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned thy good. Yes, he did. Heavy brotherhood from sea to shining sea. You know, I wish I had somebody to help me sing this. America, I love you, America. You see, my God, he done shed his face on thee. And you ought to love him for it, 'cause he crowned thy good. He told me he would. Every brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, Lord, I thank you, Lord.
Is that it, Mrs. Briggs?
Ma'am,
Was that it? That's the end?
that's the end.
Okay.
And I was going to say real quick, I can't add, I know we have more people on our staff who are veterans. Many of them are very private and may not have shared their story with us. So we celebrate all of our veterans, whether they were recognized in the presentation tonight or not. Thank you, Ms.
Okay.
Tynes.
All right, at this time, I would like, if you are a veteran, please stand in the audience. Guests, staff, all of you, please stand. We'd like to recognize you. Thank you. Thank you very much, because many of you were actually engaged in some of the Vietnam conflict and some of the other wars and conflicts since then. And I'm just proud that you are able to be here tonight with us, because so many people were not able to come back from those conflicts to be with us. Thank you very much for all you did for America. Thank you. Okay. At this time, we're going to have Eye on Instructions. Tonight we have our little ones from Hardy Elementary School. That's Mrs. Shantae Denson is the principal. This is the STEM group from Hardy Elementary.
Pass them on. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
To us, how can you create a rocket that can land on the moon using stop-motion animation?
Our project is based on a real event. Artemis is a rocket that was scheduled to orbit the moon by NASA. However, the attempt has failed and they are scheduled to try again in November.
We worked during our STEM and coding class to complete our project, and the packets that we gave you are the design processes of the different groups. In this process, we are able to choose backgrounds and materials to build our rockets. Here are some pictures of us working in groups to plan to create our projects.
Mr. Elliott. Mr. Elliott, will you push that mic down a little bit because they're a little shorter than, a little closer to them. Thank you.
To create our stop-motion movies, we use two applications. The first is stop-motion animation. We use this app to record our videos frame by frame. The second app is iMovie. We use this app to upload our videos from stop-motion animation and edit them to create our movie.
There are many steps to the process of making our ideas become a project. We are now about to enjoy some examples of what we have created.
Nice.
They're on the moon.
Let go. We made it.
Yay, I made it!
What is this piece of sorcery?
As you can see, each video is very different based on the different ideas in each group. Each video is made by collecting individual pictures and putting them together in video format.
On the screen are a few reflections from some of our classmates. My favorite part of the experience was I was able to be the voice in our video, and something new that I learned is that it's good to work in a team.
My favorite part of the experience was taking the pictures for the stop motion. By completing this project, we all learned a lot and were able to use many skills in order to successfully land our rockets.
We are just a few of the fourth graders that worked on the stop-motion animation videos. We brought a few of our classmates here with us tonight. Would you please stand? Thank you for having us tonight. It was a very big honor. Are there any questions for us?
Oh, I tell you, any questions from the board?
No.
Samantha?
Well done.
It was just well done. I could imagine in about, 20 years from now, you all are going to be the ones at NASA and Wallops Island and sending the jets off and all. During that time, when I was a little girl, we used to have this little cartoon show called The Jetsons. You are going to be the ones that will be making our little new cars that's going to be flying around. Okay? And to the audience, just imagine what they did tonight. I'm looking at this. This is something I probably would have executed in high school and maybe freshman year of college. This is what the students of Isle of Wight County are doing now in elementary school. And we're going to commend all of you as well as the staff that's working with them. And just imagine what they're going to be doing when they get into that new building next year. Not you all, but the ones, the kindergartners, first grade, second grade, third grade students now. Who knows? The building itself may take off. Okay. Thank you very much. And be safe going home, okay? Thank you very much. Mrs. Denson, thank you and your staff. Okay, they're going to take pictures over to the left, and if there are any parents or grandparents, anyone with them, you can come up, take pictures, and as soon as Mr. Elliott finishes his photo for the school, then you all can get in the photo as well. We're going to give them a chance. That's a larger group. We're going to it's really nice. Okay. Again, thank you all for coming out. Okay. All right, at this time, we'll continue with, at this point, this is the part of our meeting where the public can participate, request to speak on the agenda items. Madam Clerk, do we have any?
Yes.
Speak, okay.
In accordance to policy BDDH-E, presentation of information on any subject will be concluded at the discretion of the board. No person will be recognized to speak more than once. Citizens scheduled on the agenda to speak will be permitted 4 minutes maximum time for their presentation. Delegations will be requested to limit their speakers to 2. Persons speaking are asked to be specific, state the issues for the board's consideration, and attach a copy of your prepared remarks. If you have prepared remarks, they should be given to the board clerk. Please do not approach the board members. Any matter relating to specific students will be heard by the school board only in a closed meeting. First, we have Mr. William Constant.
Evening.
Good evening.
I'm William Constant. I live at 9299 Tucker Swamp Road, Ivor, Virginia. I'm a teacher at Smithfield Middle School. I'm very proud to work with the best teammates in the world. I'm here tonight to speak about the $1,000 bonus check for teachers that was signed into the state budget on July 1st, 2022, that we have not gotten yet. Why haven't teachers gotten their money yet? In the state budget, if you paid your state taxes, you got a $250 refund. Everyone got that refund by October 2022. In the state budget, the state workers got a $1,000 bonus check also. They have been told for months that everyone would have their check by December 1st at the latest. I've been working for months to discover where our money is. On October 5th, I was informed by the Virginia Department of Education, Department of Planning and Budgeting, that the Board of Supervisors and the IWCS school boards was appropriated this money for the bonus. I was told, and I have a voicemail, person's name and contact number, to get with your school board. That day I sent an email to all school board members and to the head of finance asking where the bonus is. I got a quick reply within a day from the finance director, and she stated it takes a couple of weeks to work it out. I sent a follow-up email on November 1st with no reply. It looks like there's no CFO for Wight County Schools at this time. I never, ever heard from any school board member. If teachers have to reply back to parents within one working day, why don't school board members have to do something similar? I have heard there was a question about where the money is. The school system needs to take care of their teachers. Teachers are leaving like crazy. Prime example in the news the other day, almost 11,000 teachers have left in Virginia and they only hired 7,000. That's almost 4,000 teachers that there's no replacement for our kids who need qualified educators in the building. Teachers are leaving like crazy. We're already being pulled to cover classrooms for teachers being out, being burned out in November. You, the school board, asked the Board of Supervisors for money all the time for other items. Why wasn't asked for bonus money for the teachers? The question has come up by teachers and citizens. The county has the money and they're pocketing the interest. You, the board, should have been working on getting...
1 minute.
You, the board, have been getting the bonus should have been working on getting the bonus to the teachers in August and September when we came back to show us that you care about us. Thanksgiving is just about here, Christmas right around the corner. The teachers would like this money in a separate check, not in a regular check. More money, less taxes taken out. How soon will we get our hard-earned money given to us by the state? I learned in the Navy, you check the pulse of your crew by talking to the people in the pits. You go up on the mess decks, talk to the mess crank serving that food. You go down the engineering spaces and talk to them people pumping that steam to keep you moving and get the true pulse. I can't recall the last time a school board members come into any school and had lunch with the teachers to get the true pulse of the building. I appreciate your time. Be safe going home. Thank you very much.
Mr. Herb DeGroff.
Madam Chair, Mr. Cunningham, Dr. Kramer, Herb DeGroff, live in the Carsville District. I already sent you my remarks for this evening. Please take the time to read them. And agenda items, I'm glad you put that thing up there about veterans recognition, because by golly, this school system has done a fantastic job at the building level of recognizing veterans. I attended both Westside Elementary School's outstanding performance, as Dr. Kramer did, and thank you for your notes, sir. The one at Smithfield Middle School, phenomenally done too. I don't remember seeing either one of you board members there. I encourage you to do so next year, because the kids need to be honored with school board members' presence, just like Bill just said. You know, show up at the buildings. They really appreciate that. That's what you get that stipend for. Now, as far as policy FFA, I don't know if this man over here ever does his homework and tells you when you're doing something wrong, but you definitely have done something wrong on policy FFA, because I can vouch for the fact if a building or facility can't be named for somebody after they're dead 10 years, the man you named it for is alive. And I can vouch for that, because at the foundation gala, that I didn't see either one of you at either, we had a little discussion when I challenged him to make a $10,000 donation to the foundation, and I'd match it with $1,000. You know, he got $90-some thousand of our taxpayer money, thanks to you, lady in red, just like you did for Dr. Pereira. In any case, he is alive. He has not been dead for 10 years. He ain't been dead for a minute. So somebody cooked the wording, Madam Chair, that you voted on back in 2015. Go check some of the notebooks in some of the schools where all the policies are kept, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And I challenge you and the vice chair to institute an investigation through that man. And that man back there has the ability to check and see who cooked that language by virtue of using a school computer. And that person needs to face civil penalties. And I don't know, Madam Chair, that you shouldn't. I frankly think if it takes a state police investigation, I'd love to see you pass a polygraph exam. They say you're either being truthful or you're not. So own up to it, fess up to it, make it right. Do not, for second reading, pass on this FFA policy. And you should be telling them that based upon it being wrong, back what was passed in June of 2015, sir. So do your job, or go collect money from some other bunch of taxpayers and not all the Wight Countyans. So folks, do your job. That's what you raised your hand for. And the guy with his back to me, hey, at least Mrs. Dial has the ethics to not show up when she lost an election. The pearly gates await, and there's a long-handled coal shovel for you, Michael. Thank you, ma'am.
Mrs. Rachel Trollinger.
Good evening. I'm Rachel Trollinger, and I reside on Whispering Pines Trail in District 5, and I'm here to speak on Agenda 17.1, the Personnel Report, specifically the resignation of the CFO. I lived in this county for 16 years, and I moved here for the school system. I've worked in this division for over 8 years, and I proudly stood by the statements made each month that the division was being good stewards with the funds given to them by the county, state, federal government, and local partners. I was contacted in May when the CFO position was unexpectedly vacated, and I agreed to be a contractor to work on finalizing the budget, assist with year-end, help prepare the county audit. I was asked to become a full-time employee once again, effective August 1, 2022. As I worked on these items, I discovered the following errors. Federal grants were unprocessed in a timely manner and resulted in over a $5 million cash flow shortage for the division. Federal funds were forfeited because the reimbursements did not include an entire month of expenditures. a donation from one of our local vendor partners was not spent by June 30th, 2022, resulting in the division giving these funds back to the county. Deadlines for the Department of Education's annual school report was not completed on time, and when given additional time, could not be reconciled to the finance system, resulting in the submission of a report that was inaccurate. Bank reconciliations were not performed for over an entire year. An entire quarter, April, May, and June of 2022, of food service transactions were not recorded in the financial system, resulting in inaccurate information being submitted on the food service annual report. Although none of these items are illegal, these egregious errors and countless others discovered in the last 5 months resulted in a domino effect throughout the division and the county, to include auditor deadlines. The straw for me is one you will be voting on later in this meeting. With this decision, I could no longer in good conscience stand in front of you and state that the school division was being good stewards with county or taxpayer funds. After leaving the CFO position, I was asked if I wanted to contract until a replacement could be found. I declined the offer, but have continued to assist in ensuring payroll is not delayed, and have answered countless questions by school and county staff, to include some as recent as this afternoon. I still love this school system and want only the best for the division, the staff, and the students, but felt this was important enough to bring to your attention. So before you vote tonight, I hope you ask yourself this question. If I vote yes, will I be a good steward? Thank you.
Mr. Mark Wooster.
Good evening. Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Kramer. The topic I have to discuss this evening would be more appropriate to do after the policies for second read. I'm requesting to move my time until after then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Heidi Schwartz.
Can I ask a question real quick? Has FFA policy been pulled for tonight? Not going to answer.
We haven't gotten to that on the agenda yet.
Okay, well then I'll...
This is your time to speak, not our time to speak. And you're not allowed to ask us questions during that time. Thank you.
Okay, well I'll read what I have, I guess. So, I was prepared to speak on the fraudulent FFA policy and why it would be up for second read. I've struggled last month after the "Oh Jesus" mumble from Vines as I walked up to speak. The board has ignored multiple emails from me and other citizens in the community regarding his remark and has yet to acknowledge Vines' behavior. Once again, Chair Times, you have ignored multiple emails, no replies, nothing. You know what that implies? That you support a board member that discredits a parent as they come before the board to speak. This is why you don't have parents and citizens here and you don't listen. You don't talk with us, you talk over us and to us. It has to make you wonder what goes on behind the doors in sessions. On November 8th, citizens spoke with their ballots. Since we have not been heard, and oh Jesus, I thank God for that. This board had a month to fix the mistake regarding the policy of FFA. Wooster and myself met with Lynn and Jessica the day after the last school board meeting. We showed them the fraudulent policy and the four of us went through the steps on how it came to be. It was proven that day by Briggs. Lynn knows this and brought it to the board's attention within a day. Knowing Lynn's history and her integrity with the school, I can't imagine she feels comfortable letting this fraudulent policy move forward. Last meeting I stood up here and I could have said something about that policy, but I held my tongue, which we all know that's very hard for me to do. When I see something, I speak on it. But Wooster and I gave the school board ample opportunity to fix or cover it. You haven't. Why? So you can ram through a bunch of policies tonight before a new board takes over and uncovers your cover-up. Lynn, if you read that policy tonight as a second read, I'm just going to say you're as guilty as them. In regard to the minutes from the last meeting regarding all the citizen comments, they're incorrect and complete. I've sent an email regarding this. Certifying them would also be fraudulent unless you've updated those and completed them and to be true. Let's talk about finances. It wasn't even on the agenda for citizens to review this month until Tuesday. We've gone from bad transparency to worse. That's interesting. Let's break it down. The board refused to meet last spring with the Board of Supervisors. Kemps was pushed out. Trollinger was brought in. Trollinger is now out. I guess she answered some of that just a minute ago. We don't have a CFO. We've got 2 payroll personnel handling it. An audit's due. The BSO's taken over. Millions are probably missing. I think she's kind of confirmed some of that. We've gone from curriculum contracts that were purchased without other bids. This past year, the board's been run like an uncontrolled classroom with no behavioral consequences. Kind of like our schools, it's time to take that back and put on track, both in the schools and on the board. Behavior, financially, and how do we go from bids and contract forms. You need to fire the lawyer up here who admitted at the last meeting that he didn't even read some of the policies for first read. Makes you ask, has he ever read them? Where's your legal counsel, and why are we paying up to 10 grand a month sometimes for a counselor that isn't even reading policies? Oh, Jesus, that's a lot here.
That's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Board members, committee reports and information. Do you have any reports, Samantha? During this time, it's like if you attended something on behalf of the students or something like that. Okay, if you don't, okay. Mr. Vines? Mr. Cunningham? Okay, I do have a report. On October the 15th, the board had a retreat, and that retreat was held in the town of Smithfield at a Smithfield station in the upper, I think, third floor library, and Dr. Peter Gorman was there to present to us that day. It was 4 board members present. That was Mrs. Dow, Mr. Vines, Mr. Cunningham, and myself, and as well as Dr. Kramer. And it was, I think it was like 8 o'clock to noon. Mm-hmm. And we really, Dr. Gorman really helped us through a lot of things that day, and hopefully we can get him back here. On October the 17th, let me get my glasses. The Virginia School Board Association, I attended that, the Delegates Assembly for the information on the legislative platform. On October the 18th, I did a virtual bullying prevention it was sponsored by the Virginia School Board Association, but the presenters were from the City School District of Newport News. And on October the 29th, I attended the health fair at Main Street Baptist, and it was, I think it was given by Western Tidewater Community Service Board as well as Main Street Baptist on behalf for the Western Tidewater community. And I attended that because of the fact Wight County had a table there, and Mrs. Ford, Tawana Ford, was there at that table. And there were other professionals in the community as well and organizations that presented at that health fair. On October the 10th, which was today, I attended the Virginia School Board Association Delegates Legislative Meeting. This is where we actually act on the legislative platform that will be sent up to the General Assembly, and that meeting was from 12 until 3:30 this afternoon. I would also like to make an announcement at this time that in the culinary, the CTE program, the Culinary Arts Department will be supplying 100 families with Thanksgiving meals in our community. And we would like to thank Mr. Horn and Mr. Mr. Horn's assistant, Mr. Hagan, as well as the students in that in the CTE program for doing that for the families in Wight County. Okay. At this time, we have our financial report coming from Mr. Todd Christensen.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Kramer. As you all know, my name is Todd Christensen. I'm the Director of Support Services. However, I'm also being called to support the financial department in any way that I possibly can at this time. So as part of that, I'm here to discuss the financial presentations and happy to answer any questions you all may have about the check registry, facility usage report, and financial summary.
Okay, thank you. Did you all have any? Don't have any, thank you. Okay, we need an action. It's an action item. Are you waiting for us to act on it, or do you have something further that you would like to say, Mr.
No, ma'am. I'm going to be here for a while, actually. So 14.2 is going to be mine as well. That is the budget appropriation request.
Okay.
Believe there's being an update here. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, I thought you said you had some other things that you're finished with 14.2?
No, ma'am. I'm waiting for the agenda to be refreshed.
Yeah.
Yes. There we go. Okay, so item 14.2 is related to additional appropriation of funds in the amount of $812,507 being allocated to instruction in the amount of $712,507 and $100,000 to transportation. This is as approved by the Board of Supervisors October 6th. And as you alluded to, Madam Chair, this is an action item.
Okay.
All right.
At this time, we...
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to direct Dr. Kramer to request additional appropriations in the amount of $812,507. That's breaking it down as $712,507 in the institutional category. Instructional, excuse me, category, and $100,000 in the transportation category. As approved by the Board of Supervisors on October 6, 2022.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. At this time, take a vote. Okay, thank you. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Next, we have 14.3, and that's Mr. Christensen as well, additional appropriations requests.
Yes, ma'am. This item is related to an additional $234,272, which we're asking to be appropriated from the unassigned fund balance to the capital maintenance line, again, as approved by the Board of Supervisors on October 6th.
That's an added.
That's an added one, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, that's 14.3. All right, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to direct Dr. Kramer to appropriate $234,272 from the unassigned fund balance to the capital maintenance line item in fiscal year 2022 through 23 general fund as approved by the Board of Supervisors on October 6, 2022.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. At this time, would you like to discuss that with Mr. Christensen?
No, I don't have any.
Okay, if not, we will take a vote. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Next, we have Support Services.
No, it's a workforce grant.
Oh, that's another.
Yeah, it's
See,
another
you didn't
one,
give me
14.4.
those information. I don't have that information. I know they were added, but I didn't thank you. Mr. Yeah, okay. All right. We have a workforce grant.
Yes, ma'am. The workforce grant is something that we've spoken on last month that our nursing program put in the grant and was fortunate enough to be awarded for. So at this time, we are asking for the budget to be amended to have that $80,000 appropriated to the administrative attendance and health budget category. And it is an action item as well.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to direct Dr. Kramer to amend the FY 2022-23 budget funds in the amount of $80,000 be appropriated from the Virginia Department of Education-based Health Workforce Grant to the Administrative Attendance and Health Budget category within the IWCS FY 2022-23 budget as approved by the Board of Supervisors on October 20th, 2022.
Okay. Second. We have a motion and a second. Pardon me? I second.
Mm-hmm.
We have a motion and a second on the floor at this time. Any discussion about the workforce grant and the motion? Hearing none, we will take a vote. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much. At this time, we have Mr. Christensen again, and this is Board of Supervisors.
Yes, ma'am.
Appropriations.
Yes, ma'am. One more. So this one is related to the $1,000 bonus check, and as part of that, we are asking for an additional appropriation from the Board of Supervisors in the amount of $577,616.24 for the instructional category.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
All right. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to direct Dr. Kramer to request an additional appropriations from the Board of Supervisors in an amount of $577,616.24.
Second. Hold up, I was going to ask.
Can you repeat the motion?
Okay.
There's just a few words left off at the end.
Yeah. Well, okay. All right, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a do I have to rescind the last one?
Yes.
Yeah. I need to
She just
rescind the
wanted you to
last one.
repeat it.
Right? Up to you.
Did you make a mistake?
Yeah,
It's the wording.
It's already been on the floor. You have to rescind it.
We're going to
Okay.
rescind it, okay.
Madam Chair, I'd like to rescind the last motion I made.
Okay, second.
Okay.
Mr. Vines,
This one. Okay,
I had to call the vote.
okay.
Mr. Vines,
We're rescinding the vote, so we're voting on
Yeah.
the rescinded vote.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mrs. Tynes,
Yay.
Mr. Cunningham.
Yeah.
Okay, now we need a motion.
Yeah. I got it. All right, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to direct Dr. Kramer to request an additional appropriation from the Board of Supervisors in the amount of $577,616.24
Discussion.
in the instructional category for the bonus payment.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we have a motion, and I'm going to second it. So we have a motion and a second on the floor, and I'm going to open it up for discussion. But I know, Mr. Vines, you said you want to say something, but before you say something, I'm going to ask Dr. Kramer if he would like to elaborate on this particular motion. You could answer what your question.
Yes, and please elaborate as well, Mr. Christensen. So this is the money that we have received from the state, and we're asking to have these funds appropriated from the Board of Supervisors for the $1,000 bonus that teachers will receive. Any additional comments you'd like to make, Mr.
No, sir, that's entirely accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mr.
My only comment is, how timely will they receive this bonus? Because he just made a statement earlier that they would like to get these bonuses before Christmas.
I can't give you an exact time. We are going to work as quickly as possible when the funds are appropriated from our Board of Supervisors to ensure that our staff do receive that bonus.
Right. But we had, Dr. Kramer and I had discussed that, and just like he said, depends on getting the funds from the Board of Supervisors. They would have to act on it as well. And we're going to try our best to get it out to them before the holidays.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say Thanksgiving, but at least before Christmas. And that's the best we can do right now because we're dealing with another body that funds us, okay?
So the funds right now are not available. We have to get them from the Board of
Right.
Supervisors so the
We're
public will know.
requesting them from the Board of Supervisors, so we have
That's
to wait
right.
until they have their meeting, okay?
Just so
And
they'll
if-
know.
Right.
Yes, so your action tonight is requesting the funds from the Board of Supervisors so that we can allocate the bonus to our educators.
And if we gave it to them before without it, anticipating that the Board of Supervisors is going to give us the money, we don't do that, okay? Thank you. So we'll wait until we have the money in hand. Thank you. All right, at this time, we will act on that motion.
Second.
No, I think she's going to put it up, right?
Yeah.
I know, but we have to vote on it.
Yeah,
Right.
right there. We're good.
That was on target. Okay. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Christensen, for doing, I know what I was thanking you for doing the financial piece.
Yes,
At
ma'am.
this time, we're going to move on to support services, which is also Mr. Christensen. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So I'm happy to provide a support services and operations update. First item I wanted to brief the board and public on is that the Division Crisis Management Team did just recently have a meeting. We met on November the 4th. Part of the main focus of that meeting was to review each school's crisis manual. Those manuals will have feedback provided to school administration so that we can fine-tune those as we are always looking to do. One item that we really wanted to focus on this year was coming up with common and consistent formatting and content across the crisis manuals for all schools. So that was a big focus of the discussion as well. In addition to discussing the school crisis manuals, we provided an update on the school mapping project. We are in the final stages of that. We're just getting some sort of fine-tuned details nailed down with the critical response group, the company that's doing those maps, and gathering the names of the individuals, first responders, emergency personnel who will have access to those maps. So we're in the final stages there, and the team did have a discussion surrounding that. And last up, we did hold discussions around the SROs in the elementary schools. As you know, that's been a recent development, and just wanted to make sure that the crisis management team was all on the same page with those developments. As many of you know, we had a bus driver appreciation breakfast across the county, both ends of the county, and really was a great opportunity to celebrate our bus drivers and have some fellowship, and just wanted to share some pictures, these being from the south end, and then the north end was, oops. The north end one didn't make it in there, I apologize, but the north end, of course, had their celebration as well, so we were very pleased to celebrate our bus drivers as part of Bus Driver Appreciation Breakfast Week, Bus Driver Appreciation Week, excuse me. And last up, we did just recently complete a project across the county. We actually did this at every school in the division. We repainted the handicap parking spaces. This is an example of one of the freshly painted spaces. Over time, these things can wear down to the point where it can produce sort of two different scenarios that are not advantageous. That is that people end up parking in the spots sort of inadvertently. If the spots wear down, they're not clearly marked, that can happen. And then also if you are somebody who needs access to these spots and they're not clearly labeled, it can be difficult to find. Of course, we don't want that. So We just had these all freshly repainted, and they are bright and blue across the county. I'm happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
I don't have any.
Thank you, Mr. Christensen.
Mhm.
All right, one more for me.
All right.
So the gasoline, propane, diesel fuel generator, and fuel oil, this was an invitation to bid that we had put out and had the bids opened. We do have an intent to award that we have developed based off of the bid process. And so at this point, we are asking the board to move forward on the intent to bid so that we can move forward with the negotiation process.
Okay. You heard the report coming from Mr. Christensen.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the intent to award letter for the gasoline, propane, diesel fuel, generators, and fuel oil according to IFB 2023-002 as recommended by administration.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there is no discussion at this time, we'll vote. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Christensen. Okay, next we have the update New Hardy Elementary School, and that will be Mr. Chris Bilbo.
Yeah.
Mr. Bilbo is the project director for, with MB Con.
Good, how you doing?
Want that mic, Chris?
And while they're getting Mr. Bilbo straight, the school board as well as the Board of Supervisors had an opportunity to visit Hardy Elementary last month. We're ready.
Yeah, just start.
The new Hardy Elementary. We visited
I'm not
the
used
new
to
Hardy
this, all right.
Elementary.
All right, so here we are. This is last week, November 2nd, and construction's coming very well along. As you can see on the right side there, we have over the office area, the roof's on, the brick's going up, and behind that, the roof is on the gym and the brick is on the gym, as well as the kitchen, the mechanical room, and the electrical room. Behind that area is the two-story classroom wings, and if you were there today, you would see the trusses have already started to be set on that area, and the steel is up over to the right, the north side. Brick is just about done. Windows are starting to go in this area in the next week or two, and we have actually many days of the week we actually have two cranes out there. There's one crane there setting steel and another crane setting the trusses. Our goal is to be, by the first of the year, dried in. That means all the roof is on and all the windows are in. We're expecting permanent power equipment in December and all the last final mechanical systems in January. It's been a little bit delayed due to the supply chain issues. Over here to the right, you got the D wing, which you can see the trusses are on and the steel's going up. The roof's going to start there hopefully the week after next. So about the first of the year, when we're all dried in, we'll be starting finishes in January with probably some temporary electric and temporary heat. That means painting has just started in the last few weeks, but painting will start, flooring will start, ceilings will start. Everything's pretty much on track. I don't know if you'll have any I'm not used to this. I kind of got thrown into the
You're
set
doing
last
fine.
minute.
You're doing just fine.
But things are going very well for the most part. I mean, construction changes day by day, minute by minute, goods and bads. Hopefully more goods than bads. This job's going pretty good. I'm not sure if y'all have any questions for me, and
Well,
I'll be glad
thank
to
you very
answer them.
much, but that's a lot because it's just what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, we were there. You all have really closed on a lot of it.
Yeah. So the big dates are by the first of the year be dried in. That means most of the roof is dry, maybe not all the roof is on, and all the windows in. And then as we start the finishes and close up the outside, button up the outside, we'll start site work again, probably the middle to end of January, to start cleaning up the site, planting grass, putting in sidewalks, and so on. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next we will have report from the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think they're going to present the slides so that I can have a visual illustration of some of the events that I've attended. And I think Mr. Cooper is going to give me the... Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. So, thank you, Madam Chair, for this opportunity to share some of the events I have attended and some of the work that I have been engaged in. So, there we are. Okay, so a little bit delayed. So I've had the pleasure of meeting with staff members in thus far 8 of our 9 schools. There's one that we had to reschedule, I think that's Smithfield Middle School. The purpose of these meetings is to continue to make myself available to our educators, listening to their recommendations, questions, concerns, in an effort to ensure that there's continuous improvement. The photos that you see there are from Carrollton Elementary, and I think the other one is from Winter Elementary. And we do have others, but these are the ones that we took pictures at. And I want to just extend a huge thank you to those educators who provided me as superintendent with some tremendous recommendations. They've asked great questions. We've chronicled that. I will be sharing those questions, those recommendations with you, the board, and hope to put those on our website as well, at least thematically showing the overall questions, concerns, and recommendations from our educators. So I want to thank them for the wonderful opportunity they've given me. And I want to say that these were voluntary opportunities. I didn't want to go during a staff meeting or a faculty meeting. I wanted to ensure that this was an opportunity, if they wanted to, they could share information with me.
I have a question before
Sure.
you move on. While you were meeting with them, did you have them building administrators in the meeting at the time, or just other staff members?
It was anyone who wanted to be a part.
Okay.
So it could be
All right.
principal, it could be anyone who is an Isle of Wight County Schools employee.
Okay.
And if they wanted to meet with me, we allowed them to meet and answered questions. Ms. Whitlow was there with me as well to take the notes so that we could have those prepared, and we will again make those available once I'm finished. Having a little bit of concern here with advancing. Can you help me out? Yeah, why don't you help me manually? I'm not sure what's going on. Next, I've been privileged to be able to meet with several organizations in the school community. So as you see there, I met with the Smithfield Kiwanis and with Ben's United Methodist Church. So I extend a huge thank you to our community partners for the opportunity to speak with their organizations about the work that is occurring in the Isle of Wight County Schools. I was able to meet with and speak with our friends and partners from, as you see again, the Smithfield Kiwanis Club, and a special thank you to Mr. Steve Bowman and to our president, Mr. Willis, for giving me that opportunity. And you see the image there from Ben's United Methodist Church. I had the privilege of being invited to speak to the United Methodist men at a breakfast at Ben's United Methodist to have discussions about the work that is going on, and had a chance to entertain some questions as well. So I want to thank all of our community partners, and I welcome continual opportunities to extend myself to be a part of the community. So I welcome invitations to continue to speak and meet with community stakeholders. And next, thank you, sir, the Isle of Wight Arts League Fine Arts Teacher Reception. They hosted a reception at the Arts Center in Smithfield. It was a casual opportunity to bring our teachers together with members of the Arts League to share ideas and philosophy and their philosophy among the arts community. So I want to thank them for that opportunity. And those are some of our educators from a number of our schools and from central office, as well as the child of one of our educators happened to make the photo as well. So it was a great evening there in the town of Smithfield. Thank you, sir. And next, Girls on the Run. So I had the opportunity to attend the Girls on the Run banquet that was held in Chesapeake, Virginia, with our staff members from Hardy Elementary as well as Windsor Elementary. And Girls on the Run is this wonderful opportunity that allows our staff members to work with and inspire girls of all abilities to recognize their individual strengths while building a sense of connection in a team setting. Our educators volunteer themselves as coaches to facilitate lessons that blend physical activity with life skill development to enable girls to adapt to whatever situations they might contend with in the future. So I want to thank them, and we're certainly looking at ways to expand these opportunities after school. And this program is in all of our schools, except the high schools, but we certainly want to look at ways to continue to support our girls and as well as our young men as well. So we'll be talking about other opportunities in the future to expand mentoring opportunities for our boys as well.
Yes.
And the Smithfield homecoming events. As you may recall, I attended some of the Windsor High homecoming festivities earlier in the fall. And more recently, I was able to attend Smithfield High School's homecoming and had the opportunity to meet with some of the parents and alumni who were present that evening, as well as, it's a very blurry image there in the middle that I actually had someone take with my phone, but that's a former NFL football player and Smithfield High alum, Mr. Langhorne, Reggie Langhorne, who was there that evening, and a number of other alum and families were there supporting our students. So that was a great opportunity to be a part of that event as well. And our jacket ceremony. I was able to attend this event with other staff members. The jacket ceremonies and the All A's ceremonies is an event at our high schools, both Smithfield High and Windsor High. This event allows us to recognize our students for academic excellence. And as I stated that evening, we certainly recognize our athletes and we should continue that. But this event was one that's close to my heart because we're recognizing students for their academic pursuits and for academic excellence. It was an amazing event, and again, it was held at both high schools consecutive weeks. So great event. Thank you, Principals Cuffey and Principal Carroll and your respective staff members for recognizing our students. And we had a number of our families come out. I think that happens to be one of our educators, Ms. Smith, and her family with her son there in the middle receiving his jacket. So a great event.
About how many jackets did you give out this year?
That's a great question. I was hoping you wouldn't answer that because I don't have an answer. But
just like an estimate.
Oh, my goodness. That's 250?
Okay.
All right. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I'm sure it is, but I'm going to go with that. Thank you all. It sounds right. We had a lot of students at both schools. And again, it was not only the jackets for the seniors, then the underclassmen, the All A's students received, not jackets, but awards. So between the All A's and the jackets, that number definitely sounds.
About 250 jackets this year. I can remember when that program started a few years back, and we only had, maybe about 25 or something. And that was per building. It's growing.
It is. It's a wonderful
event. It's an incentive for everyone to do
absolutely
better.
That's right. That's right. And we need to, again, recognize our students for the reason they're really here, and that is to pursue academics. So it's a wonderful initiative, and we'll certainly continue that. And next, our bus driver appreciation. So, Mr. Christensen, we took care of this for you. We have an image from the northern part of the county. So, Mr. Christensen, I want to thank you and our transportation department for recognizing our bus drivers for their contributions and transporting our students home safely each day. In appreciation for their hard work, we wanted to thank them with a breakfast. And as Mr. Christensen mentioned, we acknowledged and recognized our bus drivers in both the Windsor community and the southern part of the county, and then the following few days, I think we recognized our students, our bus drivers, at Smithfield Middle School for the northern part of the county. So huge thank you to you, Mr. Christensen, to Dr. Coleman, and certainly to Mr. Blackwell and his staff for recognizing our bus drivers. And my hope is that we continue to do that for all that they do for us. And then the Isle of Wight presentation, some of you may have seen my tweets and you may have seen this, and we'll certainly extend opportunities for you board members to be a part of this. But in conjunction with our new strategic plan, we launched a recognition program that is open to any member of the Isle of Wight County Schools community. The award focuses on 4 broad areas in the strategic plan: inspire, succeed, lead, and empower. So the Isle Award welcomes nominations that demonstrate how someone in the Isle of Wight County School community has embodied one of these areas. So from October through June, 4 nominees will be selected for recognition, and 1 in each category will be highlighted on social media pages, our social media pages, and websites for the division. So we see some wonderful people there. A young lady in the back was recognized for one of those awards. Some of our educators, a bus driver, and a community member. That's right, Ms. Jackson. Where are you? Stand up, Ms. Jackson. Thank you, Ms. Jackson, for all that you do.
Ms. Jackson received the first one.
That's right. She received one of the first ones. So, again, this is something we will be doing each month, and we want... I'm sorry, Madam Chair, were you calling her up?
Ms. Jackson had her hand up.
Oh, you had your hand up.
I just said you recognized me for something. Now I need to get busy and do something.
You are doing a lot of great things, Ms. Jackson. Just continue. Thank you so much. So that's a wonderful award, and it's just been a lot of fun going around the county recognizing very deserving people, both staff members and community members.
And
so, yeah,
Dr. Kramer invited some of the board members, myself, and I think Mr. Cunningham, because we were home during that time. And I told him, I said, you know what? This is one of your projects, and sometime when board members show up, it takes away from the events. So I said, you go and you're going to surprise them because it's your project. And at the board meeting, just like you're doing now, this is when we can appreciate everything that they're all doing, okay?
Certainly. Thank you very much for that support. Next, we have our divisions, our crisis management team meeting with our law enforcement community. So as you see from the photos, we've had multiple meetings with our law enforcement partners to discuss ways to continue making our schools safe and secure. And one of the photos is with our SROs. That actually, the photo to the right occurred today. You might notice I have the same outfit on there. So that happened today. So we are constantly meeting with our partners. The SRO, Johnson, and Lieutenant Acey, as well as Windsor Police Chief Riddle is there with us to the left, and to the right, all of the SROs. And we are so pleased now that we have SROs in all of our schools, including our elementary schools. Yes. So absolutely, a thank you to our Board of Supervisors for their support, and Sheriff Clark for making that possible.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And next, as you know, I have been visiting our CTE programs with Dr. Kale. We have been visiting those programs earlier. We still have to visit the southern part of the county. And last month, I visited our special education programs with Mrs. Magner and her staff. And in October, we learned, and I'm learning more and getting a much better understanding about our programs. And recently, I've had the opportunity to learn so much more about our reading program here. And these photos are actually taken at Carrollton Elementary. But I want to thank Mrs. Cooprider and the reading coaches for giving me an opportunity to get a very in-depth look at our reading program. I'm learning by going in the classrooms, asking students questions, being able to ask questions of our teachers, as well as entertaining their questions. So I want to thank all of our elementary staff members for allowing me to visit their schools, and we still have a few more schools that I will be visiting, but again, this is just one school that reflects some of the work that I'm able to do with our staff. So it's giving me a great understanding of the work that's really occurring in our schools. And then our advisories, I'm very pleased to say that Mrs. Briggs and I have had the pleasure of establishing a few advisories, a parent advisory, a staff advisory, and a student advisory. And this, I think, is just from yesterday, actually, where we had a chance to meet with staff, and we have representatives from each one of our schools, and it's a combination of all. We have staff members who are teachers, we have support staff and others from our schools, and this, again, is with the intent of me continuing to seek input, recommendations, suggestions. And these advisories, board members, will help when I offer information to you. It's not just going to be from my perspective or from central office, but this will be very informed by our complete community, from our parents, from our teachers, and from our students. So next week, I think it is, Mrs. Briggs, or we may have to delay that actually because of a conflict actually with our VSBA meeting next week. So I will be meeting with our students as well. And again, as they're informing me on matters pertaining to the budget or the CIP or the strategic plan or safety and security, that's information that I will gather and will share with you, the board, as we make decisions. So those have been going very well, and I want to thank all of our advisories and those committee members for giving of themselves and their time to offer input and sharing ways that we can continue to improve our schools and our school community. And last, and this has been discussed earlier, first and foremost, and Madam Chair, you recognized our veterans early, and I want to echo that acknowledgement as superintendent. Thank you, veterans, for all that you do for our country, for our community, and for our schools. And I was very privileged to be in attendance at two of the events, and I think Dr. Coleman and others represented us at some of the others. So Mrs. Briggs helped me. I know that we were here at Westside Elementary. We were also at Smithfield Middle with Mrs. Getz and Dr. Kale and Mrs. Truitt and others. But I think we were also, we had a program at Windsor Elementary. Those three, okay. Wonderful events, and as it was mentioned earlier, a parade recognizing our veterans. It's something that I've never seen in all my years, so I certainly echo the sentiment that this is something we need to continue. So proud of our students and our staff members for recognizing our awesome men and women in the military. And with that, Madam Chair, that concludes my update. I know it was rather long this month, but I do enjoy the opportunity to share with the community the work that we are doing on behalf of our students and staff.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the Capital Improvement Plan Community Survey Results and Recommendation. Dr. Kell.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Kramer. So I am here to share with you the community input, the Capital Improvement Plan community feedback survey results and our recommendations to you for the Capital Improvement Plan. You might remember that in the last couple months we've brought you some updates about this particular item. We originally planned to present this in September, but thought that it would be great to get input from our community members as we move forward. So here you'll see the community feedback. When we sent out the survey, we broke it down into two separate categories: facilities and support projects, so school operations and classroom kind of things, and then athletics and extracurriculars, so the other pieces of what we do. And so we had 260 responses total, which is just over 4% of our student population if each response was equated to a student. We averaged those responses to determine what the priority order was for each of these items. And what you'll see here is that there's a loud and resounding call for us to acknowledge the growing population of our school and community. We see a lot of rebuild, expand, increase size kind of things. And then we also had a couple of comments where people noted that things like the Fleet Services building, they don't see those projects, and so because they haven't been there and don't repair buses, they don't often really know what the state of those locations is. We also then got their feedback around the athletics and extracurricular items. And these projects reflect our community's growing desire to improve our extracurricular facilities so that we can host larger events, regional tournaments, playoffs, things to that nature. So I'll just give you a second to look at that. And then here we have our recommended priorities, and these are in order from what we believe is the top priority to the lowest level priority. And these take into account the feedback from our community, our facility needs and understanding of maintenance and size and capacity, and then also impact on schools and individual students. This is our current timeline. You'll see this is where we are. This is different from the timeline that we presented to you last month, as we felt it would be best to bring you the recommendations this month. Next month would be the opportunity for first read, and then second read in January, which is a month later than we originally proposed. And so if you have any questions or if there's any information we can provide you about any specific project, please just let us know.
How many people did you said responded to the survey?
We had 260 responses.
Okay, 200.
And it was open for a little over a week. So we sent it out on Monday the 17th, and then we closed that survey the Monday following.
And most of the responses, I know you concluded, they had the same thing.
Pardon?
Most of the responses were pretty much the same items.
Well, that's why we averaged the scores to kind of see how those. So if you ranked it a 2, but somebody else ranked it a 5, everybody's voice was still heard. So we took the total number of responses and then got the average of that. And also, Ms. Getz just reminded me there will be a public hearing next month about the CIP.
CIP. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Chaos. Any questions before she leaves?
No.
Thank you. Okay. At this time, we will have elementary school capacity in the northern end of the county.
Yep. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Kramer. So with the new Hardy School slated to open next fall, it is time for us to begin discussing student distribution. So tonight we are going to share information with you as well as a proposal and timeline. So the first slide is just our current elementary enrollment. You'll see the totals on the right-hand side. I'd like to draw your attention to Carrollton and Hardy. The Carrollton enrollment actually shows that our Carrollton population is the second largest of our elementary schools. So we're going to dive a little deeper in looking at these numbers of Carrollton and Hardy as we talk about student distribution. So the capacity, we're going to talk about the capacity of both Hardy and Carrollton. Hardy currently has an enrollment of 512 students, and that's in grades pre-kindergarten through grade 4. New Hardy will be able to accommodate 889 students. Based on the current enrollment, the building would open with a capacity of 58%. Carrollton Elementary has a program capacity of 720 students and a current enrollment of 666 students in grades pre-K through 3rd grade. That gives Carrollton a capacity currently of 93%.
Okay. So what we wanted to show you on this slide are the current school boundaries or attendance zones. In blue, you have the Hardy attendance zone. In green, you have the Carrollton attendance zone. And the next slide is just going to sort of zoom in on where those two boundaries meet. And we have a few things labeled to give you some perspective. A shows you where Hardy Elementary School is located. You see B designates the area called Wellington Estates. That actually is right next to the Hardy zone, but it's actually in the Carrollton zone. Gatling Point, as you go down the road a little bit, on both sides of Battery Park Road, you have the 2 Gatling Points that are in the Carrollton zone. And further down, D is the Eagle Harbor area, and Carrollton Elementary is labeled by E. So just to highlight some of the growth that is happening in Smithfield and other areas of the county, we wanted to make you aware, and this information is coming from the county. We have several subdivisions in the town of Smithfield under construction or proposed. Cypress Creek, they are adding to the current community of Cypress Creek 152 single-family dwellings. Mallory Scott Farm, which is off of Battery Park Road, construction is expected to start this spring, and you can see that's a significant development that's going to come into that area down Battery Park Road. It will be phased in, but it's going to bring in numerous new residents to the county. Another development, which is behind the Royal Farms, also off of Battery Park Road at the corner of South Church Street. It has been approved, but right now they're not sure of the construction date. And the final one up there, the area called the Grange, that's, for those of us that have been around here a while, you know that as the old Robert Little grocery store area and the Pierceville Farm. That's pending and proposed, and the current numbers on that are listed for, that's a mixed-use development is what's being proposed. So that's just in the town of Smithfield. Then as we move into the northern area of the county, you see these are developments currently under construction, and the majority of these are on Route 17 or on Brewers Neck Boulevard. The one that's called Brewers Station, that's the one happening in the field right next to Carrollton Elementary and the Carrollton Library. The Crossings is at the intersection that they just redesigned at Brewers Neck and Route 17. Carrollton Manor is off of Route 17. That's a smaller development. Those are all under construction. And incidentally, that area of the county is what's known as the Newport Development Service District, which a DSD in the county is a strategic growth area planned for future residential, commercial, and industrial development. And essentially, the DSD, the Newport DSD, is along Route 17, Brewers Neck, and Bench Church Boulevard. So now we have additional subdivisions in the northern part of the county that have been approved, but they have not started construction yet. Actually, an additional 191 mobile home lots have been approved for a significant amount of time at Red Oaks, but nothing's happened to that. And for people that may not know, once things are approved, they can sit dormant for years. And many of the developments that are taking place right now have been approved decades ago. There's no time limit on when that approval expires, from my understanding. So you can see all the ones approved. There's also one that's been proposed. It's not approved. It's one called Sweetgrass. It's behind the Sherwin-Williams, which is at the intersection of Turner Drive and 10, and that's about 600 units that would take place on that farmland. It is interesting, the county does mention in their information about the DSD that the Newport Developmental Service District is the fastest growing area in Isle of Wight. As of May 2021, they noted there were over 3,400 households in the DSD there. And the info also notes that that number could double if all of the approved housing units are built.
So our challenge is how can we use the available capacity at New Hardy Elementary School to alleviate some of the overcrowding at Carrollton. And I will say that New Hardy, it was never intended to resolve overcrowding at Carrollton. It was replacing a building that had outlived its useful life. However, there are areas in the Carrollton attendance zone that could easily be moved to Hardy attendance zone, which would help us to alleviate the crowding at Carrollton. So it's a benefit that we get by building New Hardy. However, it's important to note that the growth is very, very concentrated on Route 10 and Brewers Neck, which 17. Route 17 and Brewers Neck, which Lynn mentioned is the Newport Service District. So that is a challenge where the growth is located. So, proposed change, after carefully looking at the options available, here's our proposal to the current Hardy attendance zone to continue down Battery Park Road to Rescue Road up to the bridge at Jones Creek, then extend down Nike Park Road up to the bridge at Jones Creek, extend down Ben's Church Boulevard to include the proposed sweetgrass, if that becomes approved. Mm-hmm. We would also recommend that we keep the current 4th grade at Westside. So currently, Carrollton's 4th graders go to Westside Elementary. Originally, we had hoped that we could put them back at Carrollton and have Carrollton be pre-K through 4 and New Hardy be pre-K through 4. In looking at the numbers, it's just not going to be possible. So we recommend keeping the 4th grade at Westside.
Okay. So to show you what this looks like on a map, the area in reddish pink color that is got the diagonal lines on it, that would be the extended or new part of the Hardy attendance zone. Once again, you see some labels there. It would pick up the Gatling Point area. It would pick up Mallory Scott Farm. Now, where it's labeled right now, that actually is the Hardy zone, but across the road on Battery Park is still more of that Mallory Scott development. So it would pick up all of the proposed Mallory Scott, and Hardy does have room to grow, so it would be, we think it would be able to absorb that growth. It would pick up Wellington Estates, which actually is kind of surrounded by the Hardy zone, but in the Carrollton zone at the moment. D is the area where the proposed sweetgrass development would be, and so you don't see any dots there now. The dots represent students. There are no students there now, but once again, if that area does become developed, you now have designated that for the Hardy zone as well. And you see with E, the Eagle Harbor and associated communities over in the Eagle Harbor area, and F is where Carrollton Elementary is. Now, if we move this in a little bit closer, what you're going to notice is the extended zone actually has a natural geographic boundary in Jones Creek. We essentially are running the zone up to Jones Creek at the top of the, let's see if I can point to this up here. There we go. Rescue Road up here, right above the name. That's that's Jones Creek, the bridge right at Jones Creek, so it would run to there. Then you see down here another crossing at Jones Creek, and that's off of Nike Park Road. There's one little dot there. It would run to there, and essentially it's following Jones Creek all through here and picking up this area. That's where the sweetgrass development would occur if it's approved. So, so essentially, we're looking at that natural boundary to extend the zone for Hardy into that natural boundary.
So this would change our capacity. At Carrollton, this rezoning would decrease capacity to 82%. At Hardy, it would increase capacity, which they have room to do, to 68%. Right now, it looks like about 75 students would be rezoned in those areas that we discussed. And as stated before, even though we are relieving some of the capacity at Carrollton, it's not enough to leave the fourth grade there. That's approximately 150 to 180 students, 7 to 8 classrooms. We will not get that many classrooms from the rezoning. All right, and our next steps. So tonight we wanted to share with you proposal. However, we will then move to hold public comment in December. We are also creating a Let's Talk button on our website for community feedback. We will then propose that we have a first read in January for the board to consider, and then second read for approval in the February meeting. And then after approval, we will then look at having informational meetings for families. We're going to provide communication for new Hardy parents, and then there might be some staffing implications that we will also want to look at. And we do want to point out that these are changes that we are proposing to make beginning next school year. So it is time for us to, really start having these discussions.
Yeah. And I'll add that this is just, we're introducing this for the first time tonight. Nothing's finalized. We want to make sure our community realizes that. We are still in the listening stage for all of this, but we think it's important to go ahead and get this moving forward using the timeline that we've presented.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Questions?
Any questions from anyone up here? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we will ask Mrs. Sullivan to come forward. She's our HR director. Oh, you don't have anything, but we just want you to sit here unless you have something.
What?
Unless
I
you
can do that for you.
I don't want to catch you, but I just want you to come forward while we act on your report. We have the personnel report that was presented to us in closed session tonight by Dr. Kramer.
Oh, you ready?
We're ready.
Okay. All right. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the personnel report as presented, a copy of which can be obtained from the school board clerk if anyone wants it.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the personnel report that was presented to us tonight in closed session. At this time, if you don't hear any discussion, we will take a vote. Thank you. The motion passes 3-0. All right. Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. We have another item that was discussed in closed session. That's EA 22-05 and early admissions.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the early admission of EA 22-05.
Second.
Okay, we have a second from Mr. Vines. At this time, we will take a vote. Because this is a student item, we do not discuss.
Mm-hmm.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. We have the adoption of the consent agenda. which we have a lot on there tonight.
Yeah.
And there is one item that I would like to pull tonight on the consent agenda. I approve everything on the consent agenda except for item FFA and table it until next month. Yes, that's FFA 101322.
Yep.
Everything else, as far as it's okay with me. That's,
I think that's the next item.
oh, which?
On the,
Yes, that's in
right now
19.
we're agenda, but I think it's okay. I mean, if you want to
Yes.
skip around, that's certainly fine.
That's
It's
all
up,
right. I'll
it's up
come
to
back
you.
to it. We won't skip. I'll come back to it.
Yeah, that's
All right. Meeting minutes.
Yep.
We'll do that one first, okay? Meeting minutes. That's an action item.
Yeah, okay. Madam Chair, I'd like to approve make a motion to approve the consent agenda as attached and presented.
Second.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda as it was presented. At this time, we'll take a vote. Okay, motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Next, we have the policies, updates, and revisions. And I would like I said, I approve all of the other policies, but I would like to accept FFA and table it until next month for further discussion. Well, December for further discussion.
All right, Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the policies for second read minus FFA, which will be tabled until the December board meeting.
Second. We have a motion and a second. At this time, if there are no discussions, we will vote. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Next, we have 19.2 regulations and exhibits. That's just information. Are there any concerns or discussions? Okay. Next, we have on the agenda, request to speak, non-agenda items. That's the public. She's getting the, oh, they didn't bring it up. I'm sorry. You can give them the directions while you're waiting.
In accordance to policy BDDH-E, presentation of information on any subject will be concluded at the discretion of the board. No person will be recognized to speak more than once. Citizens scheduled on the agenda to speak will be permitted 4 minutes maximum time for their presentation. Delegations will be requested to limit their speakers to 2. Persons speaking are asked to be specific, state the issues for the board's consideration, and attach a copy of your prepared remarks. If you have prepared remarks, they should be given to the board clerk. Please do not approach the board members. Any matter relating to specific students will be heard by the school board only in a closed meeting. First, we have Ms. Veronica Davis.
Is Mrs. Davis in the audience?
And we have Mr. Thomas DeStefano.
Good evening. Good evening, Chair Tynes, Representative Cunningham, Mr. Vines. My name is Thomas DeStefano. I live in District 2 Matisse Court. I'm speaking as a citizen. I'm not speaking on behalf of any of the boards that I represent. I really appreciate the dedication to veterans earlier. As y'all saw, I'm also active duty military. So per DOD directive, I'm actually required to say I'm also not speaking on behalf of the United States Navy. Mr. Kramer, this is my first time speaking in front of you. It's a pleasure to meet you. I think many of the changes that you made and your initiatives are on the right path. It's great to have you here. Tonight, I will discuss ethical representation, the importance of accurately representing the will of the people, and relate this to consequences of failure in these activities. Like 60% of the people in District 2 and 70% of the people in District 4, I consider myself inadequately represented over the last year. Unanswered correspondence and election results substantiate my claim. Also, leading up to the election, I've talked to hundreds of parents, and I would say that was a pretty universal talking point. The people have sent this board a message. Tonight, the same board demonstrates a lack of learning and further demonstrate the will of the people is not a priority. It was unethical to hold this meeting. It was wrong to hold the meeting tonight and to act over 30 public policy items, although I do agree that pulling FFA was good. It was a good move by this board. It should have been rescheduled as proposed by Mr. Kollick at least twice over the last year. This tells me, and I'm sure many of the public, that our work is probably not done. There may be additional work to do in 2023 and 2025 respectively. I recommend that elected members of this board learn to better demonstrate transparency, learn the ability to listen to their constituency, have an eagerness to respond to communication, learn to have integrity, to address the unacceptable behavior of fellow board members, and understand that you work for the parents of Isle of Wight. To the newly elected members of the board that are in attendance tonight, I suggest that you also learn from the mistakes of the previous board. I challenge you to revisit the policies that were acted on tonight and any that you find objectable that were put into place over the last year by the largely unelected board. I also urge the board members to consider past performance while selecting leadership positions on this board early next year. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Mark Wooster.
Good evening again. Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Kramer, I want to thank you for approving my request to move my time frame earlier. I just want to talk about policy FFA real quick. On October 13th, 2022, under agenda item 19.1 under policies for first read, you had approximately 30 policies listed. Of those policies, we know policy FFA, which pertains to the naming of schools, was listed. Unfortunately, the FFA policy listed for first read is not the legitimate policy that was voted on and approved on 11 June 2015. On 4 November 22, I submitted an email to all school board members detailing the fact that the policy presented is not the correct FFA policy, and to continue to push this version of the policy, which has not gone through the review process nor voted on, constitutes fraud. My recommendation was to remove policy FFA from second read on the agenda and resolve this issue instead of ignoring the facts. To date, only one board member, Mr. Kollick, responded to my email. However, I did speak with Madam Chair Tynes on the issue yesterday via phone. I had hoped my District 2 representative would have responded. However, I can only assume Mrs. Dial did not see the importance in the issue. After my conversation with you, Madam Chair Tynes, I am pleased that you were able to see the problem and start the process to correct it by removing policy FFA for second read. I do thank you for doing that, and I thank you for hearing me now.
Thank you. Next.
Ms. Laura Fletcher.
evening, Chair Tynes, gentlemen of the board, Dr. Kramer. I'd like to thank Mrs. Trollinger for her courageous report and assessment of the state of Wight County Schools' budget and budgetary process. For over 18 months, maybe as many as 2 years, this board has heard community members ask for budget transparency. We've asked for a full accounting of all the COVID funds, only to receive blank stares and haughty remarks. Dr. Kramer, I'm making an unusual request. I'd like for you to ignore the vote of this board tonight and not request the funding appropriations until our newly elected board has taken their place on the board members, excuse me. Unelected school board members should not be making weighty financial decisions for this county. The teacher who spoke earlier requesting the $1,000 bonus promised teachers of Wight County Schools, thank you for making this public. I've watched as a steady stream of parents have come before this board month after month to share their concerns about equity, diversity, CRT. They've spoken about the evils of social emotional learning and its aim to flip a child's conscience, pushing relativism when children need the security of absolute truths. I've watched as parents have read passages from pornographic books available in our school libraries and classrooms, all in an effort urging you to act, but to no avail. This board has failed to act on nearly every concern brought before them. But today is a new day, and we have new representation. I'd like to ask our new board members to provide the taxpayers of Isle of Wight County a full accounting of the Isle of Wight County school budget, that they act for the citizens who've elected them to office and do their due diligence in exposing any illegalities and irregularities found in our accounting procedures, that they continue to protect parental rights and work to encourage parent-citizen involvement with the school system. My promise to this board and its new members is that I will support every effort you make to provide transparency regarding the budget and curriculum. I will hold you to your campaign promises and encourage the community to support all of your endeavors on our behalf. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Thank you for the courage you've shown in running and winning your election. We will have financial transparency in this county, and we will hold those accountable who have dealt irresponsibly with public funds. This is because we love this community. We care about our children and our families, and we want to see them flourish and succeed. Thank you.
Mr. Lewis Edmonds.
Good evening, Lewis Edmonds, 4th District, Windsor. Wasn't able to make last month's meeting because I was on travel. Dr. Kramer, I want to thank you for your parent engagement meetings, the one you held in Windsor and Suffolk. While not heavily attended, I certainly appreciated them, and I appreciate your genuine concern and willingness to listen to parents and listen to the community, and it's a welcome change. I also, like other people, have contacted Chairwoman Tynes and CC'd the rest of the board regarding the policy FFA. I'll try not to replow ground that's already been plowed tonight, but I will share a couple things, maybe try to fill in a couple of gaps. I think it's important for the community to know that the law was broken any way you shape this. Now, there's 3 different ways that potentially could have happened, and maybe some of it's overlapping. First is the Virginia Public Records Act, which says, part of it says, any public official who converts or migrates electronic records shall ensure an accurate copy of the original record. So, if we made a mistake moving it from the ESB website that was the previous website to the new website, that's a violation of the law. It's not the worst violation of the law, but it is a violation of the law. The second potential thing that happened is that maybe the FFA policy that you have said is legitimate, maybe it really is legitimate. However, that is still a violation of the Virginia Public Records Act because the agency shall be responsible for ensuring its public records are preserved, maintained, and accessible throughout their life cycle, including converting or migrating electronic records as often as necessary so that the information is not lost due to hardware, software, media obsolescence, or deterioration. So, if it was the correct record, then the stuff that you have on the ESB from 2015 is incorrect, and somewhere along the way, that record got changed, or wasn't properly recorded in 2015. Again, not the worst thing you could break, it just is a thing that happens. Where it becomes an issue is when you refuse to identify the mistake, be public and transparent about the mistake, and then do something to correct it. This board has not been transparent. Mrs. Briggs was transparent up to a certain point, and then she, I'm assuming, was not allowed to speak to the Smithfield Times anymore to help clarify the record. The third piece, which gets a little more serious, is that if that public record was altered on purpose, that is a violation of the criminal code. When I reached out to the Library of Virginia asking about the public records issue, they are the ones who brought up, this doesn't sound like a violation of the public records, this potentially sounds like a criminal matter. That is very serious. I hope you take it as serious as it is. I think that it's been an abdication of leadership by the school board. You've left Dr. Kramer and Mrs. Briggs and other staff kind of out there in the wind. Dr. Kramer was not hired to come clean up the mess from June, and he is not the person to investigate this because it's not his job to tell on his predecessor. It's not his job to find out if one of you had undue influence on how this happened. He's not in a position to do that. You have oversight over him, and I certainly hope you would appreciate that and not put him in that position. And that's all I have. Thank you.
At this time, we'll take a 10-minute recess. You at this time will reconvene. Continue on with our meeting. Madam Clerk? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know they had turned it off. Thank you, and at this time we'll reconvene and continue with the meeting.
Next to speak is Mr. Michael Uzzle.
Good evening, Board Member. Michael of the Harder District. First, I want to give thanks to Ms. Vine, Ms. Dow, since she's not here, and Mr. Vine for serving on the school for a period of time they did. I really appreciate that. Secondly, I want to see verification of, you had to the two new deputy superintendent. I think that was the last school board meeting. Now, will they be the person to speak with if we can't get to talk to the superintendent, or that's under the behalf of he's not present at the time? That's all I got. And so that the public can know who to contact, just in case we cannot reach him, somebody in between that can pass the information to him, then that'll cut back on the elimination of time frame and keep the communication going. That's what I'm looking at, keep the communication going. The better we communicate, I feel like the better off we all will be. And I thank you for your time.
Ms. Martha Jackson.
Martha Jackson, District 3, to Chair Tynes, to the other board members, to Ms. Conyers, Superintendent Kramer. We call September rather than January the new year because it signals the beginning of the academic year for our students. I want to commend and thank the members of the sitting board for opting to shine above the many board meetings that have been filled with ridicule and complaints by taking the high road of insurmountable obstacles to stand up for what is best for our students. You have spent countless hours at meetings, Zoom and in-person conferences in our county and at the state level. You visited our 9 schools, the land lab, the farm, cosmetology, welding, nursing, and sporting events to make sure that our precious children have the best education possible. Our instructional team labors daily with the intentional purpose of developing unique focus sets with assignments that enhance learning for our teachers, including technology and our students. Please continue to cultivate and replay all the good that is happening in our schools. Do we have a part in this? Yes. Si. Oui, ja. I challenge us. I challenge myself, the citizens listening, to clear the clutter and debris of self-servedness. Let us pour our energies into ways of working together for the prize. What prize? 5,396 prizes. Success and accomplishments just don't happen. It takes work, more work, and then some. Let's work together to make it so all of Wight County School students will become the best of the best. Thank you.
Mrs. Candace Vanderbrake.
Hello. So I came to say farewell to the school board members that aren't going to be here anymore. June 2021 was the first time I attended a school board meeting, right after I completed my first FOIA for training materials given to teachers. As a small group of parents and myself dug deeper with FOIA, the deceitfulness of the board and the school administration became overwhelming. During the summer, I urged each board member to listen to their constituents, for the school board is based on an elected position for the people and by the people. As 2 board members resigned, I had hope in our 2 new appointed school board members. But the few parents then followed Wight County school policy to try to make a difference for our children by filing KLB forms at the start of the year once inappropriate material was discovered in our children's school-issued devices. Then the board decided to censor us and make concerned parents speak at the end of meetings in an attempt to silence our concerns. With the new board, I hope this gets reverted back. Parents' concerns should always be put in the front of everything the school does with our children. Heidi and I put together a PowerPoint in March of 2022 for our KLB meeting for the board to show them sexually explicit and partisan material on our children's school-issued device. To continue the censorship of parents, Tyne solely denied for us to show the PowerPoint. She wrote in an email dated 3/30/22, quote, "I am protecting the public from her visual presentation," end quote. We received this email through a FOIA. Chair Tynes, you looked down on me and told me that I was alone. Look around, you said. We were just a few and we were alone. That is how you treated concerned parents voicing their concerns. You challenged us to show proof that other citizens and parents in the community cared about the derogatory books in the library, the transgender cartoons on the applications. You laughed at us publicly and tried to silence us. Vines, you smirked and said, "Oh, Jesus," when Heidi came up to speak at the last board meeting. Well, I guess we did show you a few days ago that we are not just a few parents and we will not be silenced. According to the October board meeting, Wight County Schools declined in student population, despite Wight having a positive population growth between those years. If that doesn't get you to stop and ask yourself what you're doing wrong, what will? If this board continues to fail our children, then we, the people, will replace you. We will continue to FOIA, we will continue to be involved, and we will continue to monitor your voting records, your words, and your commitment. The board and the previous school administration continued to vote and make decisions based on personal feelings and beliefs, putting their own agendas before parent rights and at the expense of our children. The board chair attempted to create turmoil on the community, spreading her lies, personal discontentment, and political agenda like poison between the teachers, school board members, administration, students, community members, and board of supervisors. I urge you, Chairwoman, instead of talking to hear yourself talk and acting entitled and conceited, to humble yourself. Listen to your constituents, because you're also up in November. I hope the new board members, the new superintendent, assistant superintendents work together, find solutions in the middle of the aisle, listen to constituents, be the change we need, and fight for the safety of our children. Don't allow sexually explicit videos, books in school. Develop innovative approaches. Do not just go with other schools are doing. Don't be politically motivated. Support our teachers. Hire within the community. And take discipline seriously. Create more hybrid learning opportunities and answer your emails.
Last, we have Mr. David Adams.
I don't think this is going to work. Okay. Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Kramer. My name is David Adams, and I'm in District 4. The topic for my discussion is going to be appreciation. First, to Mr. Christensen. Sir, since I've been coming to the board, I think you've filled 4 different positions, so thank you very much for all you're doing for Wight County Schools. Mr. Vines, this is to you. I appreciate you coming tonight. I know some of the other citizens haven't been complimentary to you tonight, and rightfully so for their particular issues. But without you here, there wouldn't have been a quorum, and we couldn't have voted on accepting the minutes and moving some of the business of the Isle of Wight County Schools forward, so thank you for coming. Whether or not we should have moved the meeting, we didn't, so let's live with what we have right now. And specifically the $1,000 bonus checks for the educators, that's a big deal. Did we need the extra money? I don't know, but thank you for voting for that. The citizens of District 2 and District 4 have spoken. They have chosen the candidates that they want to act as their representatives on the school board. But before this board departs, and I wish Mrs. Dial was here to hear this as well, I want to express my appreciation for the following things that you have done that will have a positive impact moving forward for Isle of Wight County Schools. Like you and I have spoken candidly. We don't always agree on stuff, but these are positive things that are going to help Isle of Wight County Schools. Thank you for your continued support for the CTE program. I'm sure Dr. Kale can extend her gratitude for that as well, so thank you. Those fields are critical for our students to continue to grow and excel. Thank you, and this is to the whole board, not just to Mr. Vines. I'm just not going to see him in this capacity again. The vote to approve the sped trailer, I'm sure Ms. Magner is happy as a clam that trailer got ordered and it's on its way. So I'm sure she's happy about that. And finally, and a couple of the other citizens have talked about this, the best decision this board has made is sitting right there. Dr. Kramer, it has been a complete change from the students going to the administrators that I've talked to the teachers I've talked to, even the other citizens. It's just so refreshing. I'm not talking bad about your predecessor. It's just a different approach, and I sincerely appreciate it. You board members are to be commended for what you've brought to Isle of Wight County Schools. In closing, thank you very much for letting me speak. I'm sorry I've missed the last couple of board meetings. I've been doing my own thing, but thank you very much.
And Mr. Adams, this sped trailer is up.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, it's been there for over a month or so now, but now they can actually enter it. Steps, everything is there.
I saw the check had cleared, so I figured it was here or it was on the way, so thank you.
I guess it's just waiting for county for inspections or something.
That's it, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have board members' requests and comments. Samantha, do you have any?
I just wanted to say that SHS, we just had our first JOTC blood drive of the year, and it went really well. Had a lot of people donate, so that's great. Our next one's going to be in February for anyone that can donate. Parents, anyone can donate. We beg you to come because it's great. Get a free Q Daddies coupon if that's what you want. But yep. So and then students, we have our winter sports tryouts coming up. We're really excited. We are having our spring conditioning starting as well. And then we had our homecoming, as Dr. Kramer, he went, and so we had a great time. But, yeah, but that's it.
Okay. Mr. Vines?
I'd like to thank everyone for allowing me to serve the board of Isle of Wight County for 1 year, county that I grew up in, a county where I graduated from high school and for the opportunity to go to college and serve in the military. It's been a roller coaster year. We got a lot accomplished. We got some great things done. Made a lot of friends. I made a lot of enemies. But then at the end of the day, God's will was still done. The election spoke for itself, but realize I didn't post any election signs. I didn't do any advertising. My name was on the ballot. When I went into the office, I voted for Jason. You got to know when to fold them, you got to know when to hold them, you got to know when to walk away, and you have to know when to run. Thank you for allowing me to serve my community.
Okay. Mr. Cunningham?
Okay, I've just got one thing. Actually, I got two things to say, but one thing. All right, today is November the 10th. 247 years ago, the United States Marine Corps stood up at Tunn's Tavern. So, happy birthday, Marine Corps. Hoorah! Some of you don't know. I started as a Marine, retired from the Army, but I'm always a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. I know Madam Chair is going to say something about Mrs. Dowell and Mr. Vines, but I want to say it also. I want to thank them for their service to this community. I know some people weren't happy, but you know what? It's not easy up here. Believe me, it's not easy. I look forward to the new board members coming up because this is going to be good. You're going to be part of the team, so we're going to have to work together. You get to see behind the curtain. So I'm looking forward to working with each of you, both of you.
One last thing, Jason, everybody that starts this race with you won't end with you. Take it from my experience. Had a lot of people in my ballpark court in the beginning, but at the end of the day, just stand strong and you'll be fine.
Mr. Cunningham, he mentioned about the Marines. The Marines actually started in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia.
Nah, Tons Tavern.
Okay, all right.
Tons Tavern.
He knows.
I know the
okay.
history. I was a Marine.
Stay in your lane.
But see,
The rest of my life.
I really don't know. I just
know.
know what I got off TV this morning on the Today Show. They said it started in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. That's all. But you know, because you were a Marine. And on that note, I would like to thank Mr. Vines for his year on this board and what he has done for Isle of Wight County. And I know this is not the last we're going to see of you.
Yes, it is.
Not sitting in the seat, but I know you're going to show up sometime.
No, I won't.
Okay. All right. And I would also like to thank Mrs. Vines, not Mrs. Vines, I'm sorry, Mrs. Dowell. Mrs. Dowell was a wealth of knowledge for us on this board because of her profession. Those of you that do not know, she's a physician's assistant, and she's a young lady that wears many hats. And lots of times when we had questions, anything dealing with medicals or anything like that, we could just turn and look and say, and she would give us advice. We're going to be missing that piece. I felt a level of comfort while she was here, although she came on board at the end of the pandemic, but she was a great help to all of us. And I will truly miss her being on this board. Next week, I think a few people have already mentioned that the board will be attending the Virginia School Board Association conference in Williamsburg Historic District. And the new members were invited, but due to the turnaround and their work, they will not be able to attend with us. But hopefully next year we'll all be in attendance, because this is the only time that school boards across the state of Virginia can get together, come together, and find out what's going on in other regions. We know what's going on in the Hampton Roads regions because of our media, local media. But do we know what's going on in Northern Virginia, the western part of the state, central part of the state? We get to meet these people, and for 2 or 3 days, we get to talk to them, find out what's going on. We get ideas from them. They get ideas from us. And even today, I was with a group of them. Most of them, I think all of them except 2, were all board chairs. And we had to make a decision on a lot of the items that we were going to send to the legislature, General Assembly, for the next session in the And one of them that got me, because I'm always sitting here, Isle of Wight County, true, is a rural county, but we're a rural county in Hampton Roads. And I tell people all the time, a lot of times when you say rural, people right away want to put you in a category, oh, y'all don't have any money. Well, today I was proud to say, when I was asked the question, that Transportation Department, they were talking about buses. And the state of Virginia, they were wanted to request funding from the state in order to get electric buses. Many of them on the western part of the state said no, they didn't want to do that. And they gave the reasons why. They had their reasons why, because of the mileage. And someone mentioned the fact, is there anyone that's using the different fuel type buses? And I answered, I said, yes. In Isle of Wight County, we have diesel and we have propane. And yes, we are interested in getting the electric buses as well. And see, these are a lot of things you don't know. And I found out we are one of those counties in Virginia that's actually doing diesel and propane. A lot of them have not even reached the propane. They're just still doing diesel. So, you know, I'm really proud of what our staff and what our citizens allow us to do as far as funding our schools. And I would like for that to continue, whether I'm here or not, for the future of the young minds of Isle of Wight County Schools. We have always been a county that would bend over backwards for our youth. And I know this because I've been here for 65 years, and I have been, I guess, comprehending things that's been going on in the county for at least 60 of those years, okay? Yes, I started at 5 years old, understanding what was going on in politicking as well. But like I said, please continue to do the best you can to help the students in Isle of Wight County, because we have an excellent county here in the Hampton Roads area. I am very proud of Isle of Wight County. Thank you very much. If nothing...
I stand corrected. It is Philadelphia. But Ton Tavern is in Philly. So, yeah.
Can we go home?
Yeah.
Okay. If nothing else to come before this board tonight, thank you all for coming out, and have a safe trip home. Meeting is adjourned.
You're welcome.
Oops, sorry.